Okay, so anyway, so for today's meeting po, no, new topic po tayo since last week, last Saturday po, you had your quiz already. So katulad po nung napag-usapan natin na you will have your first quiz last week, so that's Saturday. So today po, I will be discussing new topics na. So yung new topic po natin is Cradles of Early Science. So meron akong ilang presentations po na ipinost na po doon sa ating classroom. So tingnan natin kung hanggang saan po yung matatapos natin for today's meeting. Okay? Let me start. Okay, so again po, our topic for today is about Cradles of Early Science. We've discussed already, again, yung una pong tatlong topic natin under Scientific Revolution. So this time naman, it's about Cradles of Early Science, since science is also developed in different parts of the world, like in Mesoamerica, in some parts of Asia, in Middle East, and others. So people in these countries, in these areas, invented many tools which will help them in their everyday life. They were able to discover many kind of medicines to cure certain diseases. They were able to observe celestial bodies or heavenly bodies. They were able to build some structures, discovered many things, and invented mathematics as a tool and as a discipline. So science provided different ancient civilizations the means to survive, as well as a means to understand both the natural and the physical world. So out of the four, unahin po natin yung Mesoamerica. So Cradles of Early Science. So yung apat po na Mesoamerican civilizations from Olmec, Mayan, Inca, and the Aztec. So, Mesoamerica is a Greek word which means Middle or Central America. It's a region and cultural area in the Americas, extending from central Mexico to Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and northern Costa Rica. So, Mesoamerica includes indigenous cultures which developed in parts of Mexico and Central America prior to the Spanish exploration and conquest in the 16th century. Again, those four indigenous cultures are the Olmec, the Mayan, the Inca, and the Aztec civilization. So nauna po dyan ay ang Olmec, the Olmec people, which were the first major civilization in Mexico. They were known as the rubber people. Tandaan po natin yun, that the Olmec people are known as the rubber people since sila daw po yung una. They were able to made, the first one who were able to made and traded rubber throughout Mesoamerica. They were the first people to figure out how to convert the latex of the rubber tree into something that could be shaped, curved, and hardened. Itong mga sumunod po na pictures or images, these are La Venta, the Great Pyramid in La Venta, Tabasco, which is one of the earliest pyramids in Mesoamerica. One of the ancient Olmec settlement. Tapos San Lorenzo, which is located in Veracruz, and Tres Zapotes. So itong tatlo po ito ay inilagay ko dito because these are the three major cities of the Olmec civilization. So, sabi ko kanina, yung ancient Olmec settlement ay dito po sa tatlong ito. Okay? The La Venta, the San Lorenzo, and the Tres Zapotes. That's why nung the Olmec people deserted or abandoned this three major cities, isa yun sa naging or nakita nilang reason for the decline or fall of the Olmec civilization. So, when we say Olmec, in terms of their religion, there are no direct written accounts of Olmec beliefs, but their notable artwork provides clues about their life and religion. So, Olmecs codify and record their gods and religious practices using symbols. And they also believed in many gods or deities, and the names of their gods are often represented phenomenon such as the rain, the earth, and especially maize or mais, which is one of the staple food ng mga Olmec. So some deities includes the maize deity, the rain spirit, or the word jaguar, the fish or the shark monster, the bird monster, and the Olmec dragon. So these are just some of the major deities or gods of the Olmec. So meron dyan na, ito, si Olmec dragon, it represents the earth. So si bird monster, it represents the sky. So may mga ganun po sila. Okay? Then in terms of technology and art, remember that Olmec are known for creating a hydraulic system. A hydraulic system is a machine that is operated by the force offered or the pressure given out when a liquid is forced through a small opening or tube. So not only hydraulic system was built by the Olmec, they also built certain canals and aqueduct. Yeah, so they created canals that serves as a giant ways for trading system since even during the time of the Olmec, yung unang ancient civilization nga po in Mesoamerica, meron na pong existing na trading system. So that canal serve as a giant ways for trading. At the same time, they also built aqueduct, carving massive pieces of stone into identical blocks side by side, which create a channel for water to flow into their cities or into their communities. Then, Olmec din daw po were the first people to play with balls or made from solid rubber, and that they may have practiced ritual bloodletting. Bloodletting and human sacrifice ay ginagawa po ng Olmec people, which anamana naman ng mga sumunod na mga Mesoamerican civilizations. At tandaan, isang unique po pagdating sa Olmec civilization is they created this colossal heads na tinatawag. Colossal heads all portray mature men with fleshy cheeks, flat noses, and slightly crossed eyes. However, none of the heads are alike, and each boasts a unique headdress which suggests they represent specific individuals. So, ito pong mga colossal heads na to, ito ay unique sa Olmec civilization. Wala yan sa Mayan, wala sa Inca, and wala sa Aztec. So, they are usually carved in basalt, and usually they display unique facial features. So, kumbaga walang pagkakaparehas, magkakaiba talaga yung isang colossal head to another one. So, they usually depict daw po mga actual rulers of their time. Then, this image shows the Cascadal block, which is a stone tablet with the oldest known writing system of the Olmec. The Olmec were the first great engineers daw po of Mesoamerica since, again, they were able to create or build an aqueduct at San Lorenzo. Tapos, in terms of their trading system, the Olmecs created long-distance trade routes to obtain things they needed, eventually making contacts all the way from the Valley of Mexico to Central America. Olmec traders swap finely made Olmec silks, masks, and other small pieces of art, and in return, they get jadeite, serpentine, obsidian, salt, cacao, pretty feathers, and more in return. Remember that in Olmec time, Olmec civilization, the jade jade and ceramic and even wood sculptures are well preserved, and they usually depict rulers and gods. Okay, so tapos kung napansin niyo po, kung tinignan niyo itong presentation na to, meron akong mga nilagay dyan na what could be the reason for the decline or fall of each Mesoamerican civilization. So, for the Olmec civilization, sabi rito, Olmec systematically destroyed their ceremonial centers at both San Lorenzo and La Venta, and then deserted the sites. As I've said earlier, isa sa mga nakitang reason for the decline or for the collapse of the Olmec civilization is when they deserted the major cities. So like for instance nga po, when they deserted San Lorenzo and La Venta. So kumbaga that's the end of the classic Olmec civilization. So although yung mga descendants daw po of the Olmec still lived in the region, yung iba, pero the culture itself nawala na siya. So and then some speculate reasons involving civil conflict or doubts about the effectiveness of the ruling classes. Tapos isa pa sa maaring naging reason din daw po is kumbaga combination ng mga natural ecological changes and human activities or human actions. Kasi the Olmec people relied heavily on crops, like for instance yung mais nga po or maize, squash and sweet potatoes, yun yung mga staple na nila, pagkain nila. So if there's a climatic condition na climatic changes na hindi po suitable para sa growth ng mga staple food nila, maaring naging reason din daw po yun para sa decline ng population nila. So like for instance, kapag nagkaroon ng mga natural calamities or disasters. Nagkaroon din daw po ng warfare between the La Venta Olmecs, and any one of a number of local groups could have contributed also to the downfall of the Olmec civilization. Okay, so basically it's more of internal conflict yung nangyari dito sa Olmec. Next is the Mayan civilization, one of the famous civilizations that lasted for approximately 2,000 years. Mayan made important discoveries in the areas of science and cosmology, which enabled them to create a complex calendar system. Remember that Mayans are known for this calendar system. So in terms of astronomy, so Mayans are known na great astronomers, parang they were able to, they were just 365 days in the half year, but the Mayans knew that a year was slightly longer than 365 days, calculating it to be 365.2420 days, which is very close to the modern estimates, okay, which is used as part of our Gregorian year. So Mayans are famous for their development and accuracy of their astronomical observations and predictions. Then they also noticed, the 81 lunar months, which is constituted of 2,392 days, which is again very near or very close to the modern day estimation. Then they were also able to determine the Venus cycle, yung 584-day cycle of Venus, and the length of lunar month at 29.5308 days, which is again very close to the modern estimation. Obviously, etong mga Mayan, they see the cosmos, they see the all these celestial bodies, by studying all the celestial bodies as a tool to provide them an accurate time. Then in terms of mathematics, Mayan had an extremely accurate numerical system. They've used the symbols. Meron silang itong zero or shell shape. Tapos yung 1, a dot, and 5, a bar. They use these three symbols to express numbers from 0 to 19. And numbers after 19 were consist vertically in groups of 20 using placed markers. So itong image nito, kinuha ko lang yan sa Google para makita po natin kung ano nga itong mga symbols na ginamit ng mga Mayans in their numerical system. Tapos, Mayans are also known for their glyphs. They invented the most advanced form of writing known as the glyphs. History suggests that the Mayan used around 700 different glyphs, and astonishingly, 80% of it is still understood today. Ayan, so ito na yung Mayan calendar. Mayans are known also for their calendar system. They've used 3 calendars, the Chok-in or the divine calendar, the Ha'ab or the sun-based calendar, and of course yung long count calendar. So, yung Chok-in or the divine calendar joins a cycle of 20 named days with another cycle of 30 numbers to deliver a 260 distinct days. So, divine calendar, Chok-in is also known as the divine calendar because the Mayans used this calendar in marking their religious festivities and rituals. Tapos, yung Ha'ab was the sun-based calendar with 365 days. It was made up of a year and a half with 20 days in each month and 5 additional days, which were known as the Wayeb. Wayeb, and were considered to represent a dangerous time. So, sa buong taon, sa 365, yung 5 araw dyan sa dulo, is known as the Wayeb. Parang ito yung time na hindi ka pwedeng lumabas or kung may gagawin ka man is parang walang deities or gods na magpo-protect sa'yo. So, it's not good na gumawa or lumabas ka ng mga panahon ko, yung Wayeb na yan. 5 days in a year. The last 5 days. Tapos, long count was a non-repeating calendar starting from the beginning of the Mayan period. Kung naalala niyo pa, yung Mayan calendar noon na nagsabi na mag-e-end na nga daw po yung yung mundo. So ito yung long count calendar na yon. So basically, etong mga calendar system na to na ginamit ng mga Mayans are used again to mark the rituals, kailan po ba yun gagawin, and yung mga religious festivities nila, at the same time to mark their planting and harvesting season. Actually, hindi lang yung Mayan, even the Inca and the Aztec civilization, they've also used the calendar system for those purposes. Rubber, okay? Just the same with the Olmec, Mayan realized the importance, the usage of rubber. So, they even used it, saan na ba yun? Ayan, yung sa laro na Pokatok. They even use it in a ball game known as a Pokatok or Poktapok. So in the Mayan Empire, laws were standardized across every state and were applicable to all levels of society. Pokatok or Poktapok is a Mayan ball game which is used as a way to settle conflict between warring groups and noblemen. So, ayan, so gumagamit po sila ng rubber ball. And remember that this is not just a simple ball game. Pero yun nga, this Mayan game is used to settle some issues and conflicts among the Mayan people. And parang, dito sa image na in-insert ko dito is isang ring lang yung nakikita natin, but actually dalawa po yan. And there's also rules na ginagamit in this kind of ball game, and there are some consequences din also pag natalo ka. Okay? So, if you want to know more about this, nasa YouTube po ata yan eh. Parang may nakita ako dati dyan na kung paano ginilalaro itong Mayan ball game na to. Anyway, tapos Mayan built looms of weaving cloth and devised a rainbow of glittery paints made from a mineral known as mica. Tapos, in terms of technology, same with Olmec. They built also a hydraulic system with sophisticated waterways to supply water to different communities of Mayan. Now, what could be the reason for the decline of the Mayan civilization? Sabi dito, it remains their greatest mystery. So, their civilization wasn't destroyed by an overwhelming outside force, but it disintegrated from within. Kasi nga, if you will compare it with the other Mesoamerican civilization, like the Inca or the Aztec, yung mga sumunod, it's more of may mga outside or external forces na, or yung Spanish conquest na yung isa sa mga naging reason for the decline or downfall. Pero for the Mayan people daw po, sabi, it disintegrated from within. So, internal conflict or issues po talaga. So, many hypotheses have been proposed like overpopulation or environmental degradation, civil disorder, warfare, they tend to shift their trading routes. So, basically, it's a combination of factors. Yun yung naging reason for the collapse of the Mayan civilization. Then next to Mayan is the Inca, which is considered as the largest empire in pre-Columbian America and possibly the largest empire in the world in the early 16th century. If Mayans are known for their sophisticated calendar system, Inca naman are known for building large stone cities or buildings. So beautiful temples, an advanced government system, a detailed tax system, and an intricate road system. Actually, yun na yung mga major or significant contributions of the Inca people. So, in terms of the roads and communication, ito unique naman din to for the Inca that they have chasquis, they have runners. So, Inca did invent a network of roads and highways that connected their territory on a scale never seen before in South America. The roads were usually paved with stone. They also built bridges wherein the roads needed to cross rivers. Tapos, dito sa mga roads na ito, dumadaan itong mga chasquis. Because chasquis that would run from one relay station to the next. In terms of communication kasi, itong mga Inca people, they usually use a chasquis. Chasquis are young men that would relay a message from one area to another. Messages were either passed on verbally or via using a quipu. Ito. So, isa pang unique sa Inca people is they've used this quipu. Quipu is a series of strings with knots. The number of knots, the size of the knots, and the distance between knots conveyed meaning to the Inca. Sort of like writing. Only specially trained officials knew how to use the quipus. So not everyone can use the quipus. But yun nga, in terms of communication, the Inca either used a chasquis o kaya naman and then pass the message verbally or by using a quipu. Then again, the Inca are known for creating sturdy stone buildings. Even without the use of iron tools, kasi during that time, hindi pa po, wala pang ganon, without the use of iron tools, they were able to shape large stones and they were able to create large stone buildings that can survive for hundreds of years. And then, in terms of farming, they used irrigation and water storage technique to grow crops in all sorts of terrain, from the deserts to the high mountains. Then, Inca has calendar system, calendar with 12 months to mark the religious festivals and prepare them for planting season. as I've said earlier, okay, ang Mayan, just the same with Inca and actually same with Aztec po, no? Pare-parehas lang naman po yung purpose ng kanilang calendar, again, which is to mark the religious festivals and to mark their planting and harvesting season. Inca has these suspension bridges. The bridges were constructed using ichu grass woven into large bundles which were very strong. Tapos, Inca textiles, since cloth was one of the specially prized artistic achievements of the Inca. Now, what could be the factors or what could be the reason for the decline of the Inca civilization? Factors of decline include Spanish arrival in Peru. So, unlike with Olmec and the Mayan, which is well, hindi naman talaga ma-pinpoint what could be the what could be the exact reasons. Sabi nga, it's a combination of many reasons or factors. Pero pagdating kasi sa Inca and Aztec, isa sa mga naging major reason for the decline is yun nga, yung Spanish arrival na or conquest na nagdala ng sakit, no? Isa sa mga isa sa mga naging problema nila at the time since wala pang immunity sa iba't ibang mga sakit. So the spread of diseases, internal conflict were some of the reasons or factors na tinitingnan for the decline of the Inca civilization. Sinasabi na when the Spaniards arrived in Mesoamerica, in Central America, and they were able to transmit the diseases to the locals, to the Inca people. And it is believed that in 10 years, between 50 and 90% of the population was attacked by those diseases. So, and yun nga, wala pa silang immunity at that time. Kahit simpleng smallpox, kahit simpleng flu or influenza, wala pa silang mga immunity at that time. So that caused the death of the Inca, or that caused the death of the Inca people and the decline in the Inca population. Then the last is the Aztec civilization. The Aztecs had a reputation for making human sacrifices in elaborate rituals to appease their many gods. So, actually, hindi lang Aztec, dito ko lang nailagay ito, no? Pero mula po sa Olmec, sa Mayan, sa Inca, they all, nabanggit ko na yata kanina, na lahat naman sila ay gumagawa ng human sacrifice. Eventually, they settled in the Valley of Mexico and founded their capital known as Tenochtitlan. In 1345 and at the beginning of the 16th century, it was one of the largest cities in the world. So, one of the unique and significant contribution of the Aztec people is the mandatory education. So, mula po sa Olmec, sa Mayan, sa Inca, hindi po masyadong nabigyan ng ng pansin. Pero during the time of the Aztec, children are mandated to get education regardless of their social class, gender, or age. So, they were given chance, diba? Chance to be educated regardless nga po of your social status. So, social status and even gender, no? Walang discrimination kung babae o lalaki. Then, chocolates. The Aztec in Mexico developed chocolate during their time. In the Mayan culture, they use it as a currency. The Aztec valued the cacao beans highly, same with the Mayan, and made it as part of their tributes to their gods. So actually, dun pa lang sa Mayan, nag-start na yan na they also give high value to cacao beans, to chocolates. Parang food for the gods yun para sa mga Mayan. So same with the Aztec people. Tapos, anti-spasm medication. They use a type of anti-spasm medication that could prevent muscle spasm and could relax muscles, which could help during surgery. Chinampa. Another unique with the Aztec civilization is their form of farming. So, meron silang tinatawag na mga floating garden, etong chinampa. So, it's an Aztec technology for agricultural farming in which the land was divided into these rectangular areas and surrounded by canals. So, and to be able to transfer from one chinampa to another, from one floating garden to another, they built canoes, so yung maliliit na bangka. Ayan, ito yung nakikita niyo dyan sa pictures. Tapos, they also have calendar. Again, the calendar of the Aztec is used to plan their activities like rituals and planting. Yeah, the invention of canoe. So a light, narrow boat used for traveling in water system. Best way to get to and away from the city was via canoe. There were no packed animals or carts with wheels. Canoes played a crucial role to the huge success of Tenochtitlan, again, which is the capital city of the Aztec. What could be the reason for the decline of the Aztec civilization? So, one of the major reasons for the decline daw po is the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors such as Fernando Cortez, kung saan pumunta siya dun sa sa capital, well, eventually dun napunta siya dun sa capital ng Aztec, sa Tenochtitlan. Okay, kung saan po yun yung nakita nilang reason for the decline na kasi yung in terms of technological disadvantage, marami yung mga Aztec, pero yung mga Aztec soldiers, madami warriors, they outnumbered the Spaniards, but their weapons were no match for the Spanish arms. Madami sila, pero anong laban ng mga kahoy, ng mga doon sa guns and cannons, and metal armor na ginamit ng mga Spaniards. So that's one, technological disadvantage. Tapos the Spanish one to do. Yes po.
Dagdag ko lang po, yung isa rin po din
Yes po.
Hello ma'am, naririnig po ako.
Yes po, sige, ikaw lang. Medyo malabo. Sino kayo nagsasalita? Shamir, ikaw po yan? Shamir?
Yes po.
Ayan po, ayun. Medyo malabo.
Type ko na lang po ma'am.
Hello, sige po, salita ka ulit. Sige po. May gusto kong idagdag doon po sa reason for... Yes, sige po, continue.
Bali mo yung isa rin po sa reason ng pag-decline is hindi po kaya ng mga Aztec po yung smallpox po na nag-spread po din sa community nila na naka-apekto po din sa population nila na ikinamatay po ng halos kalahati po ng civilization nila, and later po mas na take advantage po sila ng mga gamit na po sa pakikidigma po ng mga Espanyol.
Okay. Sa pagkakaintindi ko, Shamir, ang sinasabi mo is yung disease, tama ba? Smallpox, binanggit mo?
Opo.
Ayun. Oo, so yun po. So, yun po yung naintindihan ko dun sa sinabi ni Shamir, which is, well, again, one of the reasons for the decline also of the Aztec. Yun nga, parang sa Inca kanina na nung dumating nga itong mga Spanish, kasama nila yung mga sakit. And again, the Aztec people, just the same with the Inca, wala pang immunity at the time for this disease. Ayan, so almost half of the community po died due to smallpox. Ayun na nga. So, that disease, not actually smallpox lang pero well dito sa Aztec, in-identify nila specifically yung smallpox. Pero ayun, there are other diseases also na kumalat at dala-dala nitong mga Spanish when they arrived sa Mesoamerica. civilization, epidemic. Kaya. So that devastated the Aztec people, greatly reducing their population. And ano yung sabi niya, almost half of the community died because of this epidemic. Okay? War and war and European diseases devastated the Aztec population. Okay? So again, these are the 4 Mesoamerican civilizations. Baka meron kayong gusto pang idagdag, kasi it's more of cradles of early science. Parang history, no? More of history of science and technology in these 4 Mesoamerican civilizations from the Olmec, the Mayan, the Inca, and the Aztec. Now, my point in this presentation is not actually to trace all the historical development of science and technology in this Mesoamerican civilization, but again, just to emphasize yung mga major contributions nila, like for instance in terms of agriculture or in terms of mathematics, in different field, okay, of science and technology. So meron akong ilang mga binigay po dyan which is significant, because up to now po ay existing pa rin naman. Okay? So again, these are the 4 Mesoamerican civilizations from the Olmec, the Mayan, the Inca, and the Aztec. Okay? And next to the Mesoamerican civilization is we will proceed with Asia, or in this case po, specifically Middle East po muna tayo. Kung nakita nyo na, chinek nyo na yung presentation po doon, yun naman po ay sinimulan ko with what is the Islamic Golden Age, sino-sino yung mga Arab scientists and scholars, and tinapos ko yung presentation na yun with the reason for the fall or decline of the Islamic Golden Age. Sige, check natin. Okay. So ito po yung sinasabi ko, no? Again, so ito yun. The Middle East and the Golden Age of Islam. So aside from Mesoamerica, science also developed, science and technology also developed in Asia. So specifically in of Islam. So the Golden Age of Islam is the time or the period wherein the different field of sciences flourish. So, ayan, the rise of Islamic science had its highest point between the 8th and 16th century, a period known as the Islamic Golden Age. Arab scientists made staggering breakthrough which broadened mankind's comprehension of the natural world. Arabic scientific inquiry flourished into major discoveries in different fields, again, of science, like in mathematics, physics, astronomy. Kaya po, kung napansin nyo, yung mga susunod na slide po dyan, nagbigay na ako ng ilang, at least yata tigi-isa, tigi-isang mga Arab scientists and scholar na mayroong major contribution or significant contribution in mathematics, like in physics, like in astronomy, in chemistry, medicine, and optics. So, the Golden Age of Islam is traditionally dated between the 8th century to 14th century. House of Wisdom, tandaan po ito, was built on Baghdad because the House of Wisdom, it was like a huge library wherein lahat po ng works of the Arab scientists and scholars nandiyan po inilagay. Actually, they usually gather at this House of Wisdom in Baghdad, and wherein even the scholars from different parts of the world, nagtitipon-tipon po dito sa House of Wisdom na to. And they are mandated to gather and translate all the world's classical knowledge and translate it into Arabic language. Kaya merong tinatawag na translation movement during the Golden Age of Islam, that period. Kasi nga po, gusto nilang mas maintindihan ng mga Arab, ng mga Arab. So, at ginawa po yon dito sa House of Wisdom, which was then considered as the center of learning on its glorious days. Birth of modern scientific method. Muslim scientists placed greater value on science experiments rather than plain thought experiments. Arab scientists of the 12th century conducted experiments in their pursuit of scientific inquiry. Using intuition, they made and tested hypotheses, sought proof to verify their theories. So, birth of modern scientific method. If you can still recall, yung mga science subjects ni before, iba lagi pong sinisimulan yan, sa scientific method. One of the basic ideas are knowledge in science. So, these processes would eventually become known as the modern scientific method. So, modern scientific method, which consists of gathering evidences by way of reasoning, formulating hypotheses, and conducting experimentation. So that's another contribution daw po of the Arab scientists, that they do experimentation, to test their hypothesis, para i-check whether their hypothesis is valid or not. So if you can still recall those steps, diba? The series of steps in the scientific method, from observation to identifying the problem to to gathering the data, research, diba? And then formulating your hypothesis, and then of course experimentation, checking whether your hypothesis is valid or not, and then analysis of the result of your experiment, and of course your conclusion or generalization. Then yung mga sumunod po, these are ito yung sinasabi ko, na ilang mga example ng mga Arab scientists and scholars and their significant contribution in different field of sciences. So like in optics, in the field of optics, nilagay ko dito is si Ibn al-Haytham. Ibn al-Haytham was considered as the father of modern optics. Ibn al-Haytham was a polymath and an engineer, and he discovered the laws of refraction. He made important contributions to the understanding of vision, optics, light, and he was then regarded nga po as the father of modern optics. He is known for the earliest use of the camera obscura, and he even contradicted Ptolemy's idea of vision or theory of vision, that objects are seen by rays of light emanating from our eyes. So according to him, according to Ibn al-Haytham, the rays originate in the object of vision at hindi po sa ating mga mata. So nilagay niya yon doon sa kanyang libro na isinulat, entitled The Book of Optics. Tandaan nila lang po yun. The Book of Optics is a book written by Ibn al-Haytham, wherein he gave a detailed treatment of the anatomy of our eye, and by giving the detailed treatment of the anatomy of the eye, he correctly deduced that our eye receives light from the object perceived, thereby laying the foundation of modern photography. Yan. And he also discovered the laws of refraction. Itong image dito sa kaliwa, yun yung camera obscura. So, dyan po pinakita nga by having this setup, dyan napatunayan or kinontradict niya yung theory or idea ni Ptolemy. And then, he also discovered nga po the laws of refraction. Okay? So, He also carried out the first experiment on the dispersion of light. So, and in dispersion of light into its constituent color. So basically, lahat ng contribution niya is in the field of optics, then regarded as the father of modern optics. Now, in the field of mathematics, we have Khwarizmi. Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. So, who was then regarded naman as the father of algebra. Okay? He produced a comprehensive guide to the numbering system developed from the Brahmin system in India using only 10 digits, the so-called Arabic numerals. He also used the word algebra or algebir to describe the mathematical operations he introduced, such as balancing equations, which help in several day-to-day problems. So, parang sinasabi that we owe the world algebra, because of the works and study of Al-Khwarizmi. So one of his greatest mathematical work was entitled Hisab al-Jabir. Sulat ko na lang. Okay, so again, one of the greatest mathematical work of Al-Khwarizmi about algebra, ito pong yung entitled Hisab al-Jabir wa al-Mukabala. Okay, so but not only in algebra, he also made invaluable contributions to the field of trigonometry, diba? Yung mga trigonometric tables na yan, if you can still recall, yung mga, mga cosine, ganon. Yung mga trigonometric tables containing sine functions, lahat po yan ay isa yun sa mga contribution din ni Al-Khwarizmi. So, he even contributed or developed the concept of algorithm. Ayun, isa pa pala yun. So, again, because of these contributions, in the field of mathematics, he was then regarded as the father of algebra. So he was a Persian mathematician. Well, not only a mathematician, he was also an astronomer, and a scholar in the house of wisdom in Baghdad. Then, if we have Al-Haytham in the field of optics, Khwarizmi in the field of mathematics, in the field of chemistry, we have Jabir ibn Hayyan, who was naman regarded as the father of Arab chemistry. Okay, he was an alchemist at first. Okay, he was regarded as an alchemist because remember, alchemy is a proto-science of chemistry, di ba po? Parang yan parang ano nga ba yun? Yung astrology, di ba? Astrology is the proto-science of astronomy. Diba? Astronomy and chemistry are more of the scientific study na. So, he was an alchemist who, in his quest to make gold from other metals, discovered strong acids such as sulfuric, hydrochloric acid, and nitric acid. And he discovered the only substance which can dissolve gold, o yung tinatawag niyang aqua regia, royal water, which is a volatile mixture of hydrochloric acid and nitric acid. So, ayan. So, a substance that can dissolve gold. Tinatawag pong aqua regia. Since he was an alchemist, di ba ang isang purpose, or goal ng mga alchemist is to turn the base metals into gold. Not only to find infinity, tama ba? Parang ganun yun eh. So, and then actually, ito yung naging pundasyon, para po sa mas scientific study of these chemicals, of these elements and compounds, which is known as chemistry. So, Jabir ibn Hayyan also described many laboratory technique and experimental methods na up to now ay ginagamit pa rin po in chemistry. So, like distillation, sublimation, mga ganun. So, those processes, those experimental technique and laboratory techniques which are still used up to now. Al-Zarawi, okay, in the field of medicine naman po, is he was considered one of the fathers of modern surgery. He is known for the invention of many surgical instruments, including forceps to assist in vaginal births. He wrote Al-Tasrif, an Encyclopedia of Medicine, which became the standard reference for Islamic and European medicine for over 50 years. Ayan, so si Al-Zarawi is considered as the greatest surgeon in the Islamic medical tradition. Ito nga pong Al-Tasrif na to, or Kitab, K-I-T-A-B, Al-Tasrif, consists, or an encyclopedia of medicine, consists of many books, 30 if I'm not mistaken. You can check na lang sa net kung tama yung sinasabi ko, pero alam ko 30 yun. 30 separate books. Each book focusing on a particular branch of medicine, particular discipline or branch of medicine, and it served as a ready reference manual both for practicing physicians and even for some medical students. So, for the first time, itong Encyclopedia of Medicine na ginawa at sinulat ni Al-Zarawi carried an illustrative descriptions on the use of many surgical instruments, which, again, up to now, ay ginagamit pa rin po sa mga modern day surgeries. Just like the forceps. Again, in the field of medicine, tandaan din po ito si Avicenna or Avicenna, was considered naman as the father of early modern medicine. He made important contributions to the disciplines of physics, optics, philosophy, and medicine. His works, his two notable works are the books of healing and the Canon of Medicine. So, a medical encyclopedia became standard medical textbook at many medieval universities. Yung medical encyclopedia pong tinutukoy, that's the Canon of Medicine. Because yung Book of Healing, the Book of Healing, despite of its title, is not concerned with medicine, but it's more of Ibn Sina's major work on science and philosophy. So, the Book of the Book of Healing, also known as the Cure, is intended to cure or to heal the ignorance of the soul. So it is divided into 4 parts. 1 is logic, 2nd is natural science, 3rd is mathematics, and 4th is metaphysics. Tapos yung Encyclopedia of Medicine, yun na po yung Canon of Medicine. So which includes naman 5 books or 5 volumes. So volume 1 is entitled General Medicine or General Medicine Principles, which contains generalities concerning the human body, sickness, health, and general treatment. Tapos yung volume 2 or book 2 is entitled Natural Pharmaceuticals, or in this presentation, naka-indicate Materia Medica. Paras lang naman yun. Which in this volume, in this book, he detailed all known information on the physical properties of the drugs, of simple drugs and medicines, and he even detailed or discussed how to collect and preserve herbals na ginagamit niya as gamot, as treatment. Tapos, yung volume 3 naman is entitled Special Pathology, which in this book, parang special pathology is the science of diseases, by the way. So, yung 3 and 4, parang nagdi-discuss ng diseases, pero yung sa volume 3 kasi, it's more of specific. Halimbawa, liver disease. So, kumbaga, ito yung mga sakit na patungkol sa liver lang. O kaya kidney diseases. So, ito yung mga sakit na patungkol sa kidney lang. So, he outlined those diseases. He outlined the symptoms, the diagnosis, the prognosis, the treatment of each one of these diseases. Okay, so very specific, kumbaga. Unlike with volume 4, which is systemic diseases, kung saan he tackles the conditions affecting naman the entire body. So like fever, like infection, like ano pa ba? Fracture, injuries, di ba? So maaring is any part of your body yon. So yun po yung parang distinction ng volume 3 sa volume 4. And then volume 5 or book 5 is pharmacopoeia, or in some references tinatawag siyang formulary of compound medicine. Yun po yung naka-indicate na title. It ends with a discussion of the compound drugs na ginamit po or ginagamit sa bawat sakit as a treatment. So nakalista po yan dito sa volume 5. Okay? So discussion of the compound drugs and medicines used by Ibn Sina. That's it. And then in the field of astronomy naman, we have Nasir al-Din al-Tusi. Okay? So who authored the Treasury of Astronomy, an accurate table of planetary movement which reformed the existing planetary model of Ptolemy by describing a uniform circular motion of all planets in their orbits. So, ayan. So Al-Tusi daw po created this more accurate table of planetary movement which explains the uniform, well actually parehas naman din sila, uniform circular motion of all planets in their orbit. Tapos, Copernicus later drew heavily on the work of Al-Tusi and his students but without acknowledgement. O, ayan. So, sinasabi that, di ba, Copernicus is known for his studies on the celestial bodies, is known for the heliocentric idea of the universe, as we've discussed already. Pero prior to him daw po, meron tayong Al-Tusi who also has the same idea with him. Tapos meron ding yung tinatawag na Al-Tusi couple. Isa rin yun sa contribution ni Al-Tusi in the field of astronomy. Yung tinatawag na Al-Tusi or Tusi couple. It's a geometrical technique used to study the motion or motion of the planet or the motion of the inferior planet at that time. So tinawag yun na Tusi couple or Al-Tusi couple. He was able to invent the geometrical technique. And then Al-Razi, in the field of medicine po ulit, he authored an influential multi-volume encyclopedia of all known medical knowledge in the 9th century. His study on smallpox and measles were groundbreaking. Ayan, so tandaan niyo po dito kay Al-Razi, isa sa kanyang major contribution is when he detailed the distinction between these two diseases. Kasi nga at that time, existing na yan, pero akala nila same lang po. So it was Al-Razi who wrote the first medical description of smallpox and measles, and he combined psychological method with physiological explanation para maintindihan po how these two diseases are different. So Al-Razi had great influence on Western medicine, and he is even considered one of the greatest scientists of the Middle East. And then Ibn al-Nafis, who was also considered naman as the father of circulatory physiology. Physiology is the study of the functions of organism, and one of the functions of organism is circulation of the blood. How blood is being transported throughout our body. Diba? Anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is the structure, physiology is the function of organisms. So again, one of the functions of organism is circulation. So he was considered as the father of circulatory physiology because he explained to us kung ano daw po yung pulmonary circulation or pulmonary transit na tinatawag. Remember class, di ba? Meron our blood is transported from our heart, going to different parts of your body, cells and tissues of your body, back to the heart. And dumadaan po yun, dumadaloy po yun sa iba't ibang mga blood vessels, okay, all throughout. From the heart, going to different parts of your body, back to the heart. It is confined within those blood vessels. Kaya siya tinatawag na closed circulatory system. And dalawang pathway yon or circulation. So it was Ibn al-Nafis who identified or who explained about the pulmonary transit or the pulmonary circulation. Ito yon. Okay? Nakikita po pag ina-highlight ko.
Yes po.
Yes po.
Anyone? Ayan, thank you po. Anyone who wants to explain further, ito po yun. Okay? Yung pulmonary transit. Okay? Anyone who wants to explain further about pulmonary transit, how it works? Sabi ko from the heart. So, human heart is consist of 4 chambers, di ba po? I'm sure alam niya yan. The upper 2 chambers are the right and left ventricle. The 2 lower chambers are the right and left, mali. The upper 2 chambers are the right and left atrium or atria. The lower 2 chambers are the right and left ventricles. Ayan. So, the pulmonary transit though for circulation starts with the right atrium of the heart. Tandaan po natin that the atrium or the atria plural are the receiving chambers of the heart. It either receive the oxygenated blood or oxygenated blood. When I say the oxygenated blood, that is oxygen poor blood. Okay, low in oxygen, high in CO2. Tapos oxygenated is just baliktad, high in CO2, low in oxygen. So, ayun. Anyone wants to explain? Wala po. Sige, ako muna. Okay. Tapos kayo mamaya. Kasi kahit hindi ito class yun. kahit hindi naman, yes, meron po bang gusto sumagot? Parang may narinig ako. Sino yun? Samir. Hindi ko po sigurado, pero sa natandaan ko po, kapag nadaan na ang blood sa lungs, oxygenated na po yun, blood. Okay. Tama naman po yun. Sige. So, parang may nakita akong or narinig ako kanina. Wala na. Sige. Ako muna. Tapos ito kasi, dinagdag ko lang para lang makumpleto. Pero actually, wala siyang kinalaman kay Ibn al-Nafis. Kinompleto ko lang po. So dito muna, ito yung pulmonary talaga. Okay? Yung contribution talaga ni al-Nafis. So, it starts with the right atrium. Hindi ko na sinama yung mga valves, pero dapat po talaga may mga may mga valves. So anyway, so the right atrium, sabi ko, atrium or atria are the receiving chambers of the heart. So the right atrium receives the deoxygenated blood coming from all parts of our body except the lungs. So the oxygenated blood from the right atrium goes into your right ventricle. If the atrium are the receiving chambers of the heart, the ventricles are the pumping chambers of the heart. So the deoxygenated blood from the right atrium flows into the right ventricle. The right ventricle, yung deoxygenated blood po dyan, will go into your lungs, into your pulmonary artery. So remember class that there are blood vessels connected to our heart, and one of these blood vessels directly connected to our heart is the pulmonary artery. Diba ang blood vessel, arteries, veins, capillaries yan. So meron tinatawag na pulmonary artery connected to your lungs. So siya yung direktang magko-convey ng deoxygenated blood papunta sa lungs. Tapos gas exchange will happen. So yun yung chinat kanina ni Shamir na magiging oxygenated. Tama po yun because in the lungs, gas exchange will happen, di ba? Lungs is filled with so much oxygen dahil hinga tayo nag-inhale po tayo, nag-inhale ng oxygen. That's why, ang natanggap niya po ay deoxygenated blood, but it will become oxygenated blood. So, which will return to our heart, which will return specifically to the left atrium of the heart. So, the left atrium will receive now oxygenated. Baliktad, di ba? Si right atrium na-receive niya deoxygenated blood, si left atrium ang na-receive niya po ay oxygenated blood coming from our lungs, Okay, via pulmonary vein. So pulmonary vein is another blood vessel connected to your heart that convey the oxygenated blood coming from your lungs back to the heart. Specifically, ang tumanggap is the left atrium. Okay? So, importante po yun na contribution ni Ibn al-Nafis kasi sabi dito, prior to this, it was thought that blood simply seeped through the holes between the heart's chambers and didn't pass through the lungs. So it was al-Nafis na nag-explain na dumadaan po yun sa lungs para maging oxygenated. Okay? Para pagbalik ng heart, oxygenated na po yung blood. Okay? Now, okay naman. Nagets po ba? Naintindihan naman? Hopefully. Okay? So, ito po yung sinasabi ko para lang kompleto. Kasi isang pathway pa lang yun. That's pulmonary. But again, this is not, hindi na kay Al-Nafis to. So, kompletuhin lang natin. Systemic circulation, yung other pathway. So, kayo naman. Anyone? It starts with the left atrium that receives the oxygenated blood. Diba? Oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. Then it goes to, anyone? Meron po ba?
Ma'am, try lang po.
Angel. Okay po, Angel.
Pag na-pick up na po yung blood, nagta-travel na po siya pabalik sa left atrium and then pupunta sa left ventricle. Tapos doon na po siya mag-out sa aorta gamit po yung body tissues natin. And then, tsaka lang po siya mag-flow back sa body natin. And then, hindi ko na po alam yung next, ma'am.
Okay. So, dudugtungan. May gusto bang dumugtong? Ha? Kasi nasa explanation ni Angel.
Try
Sa
ko po.
body na siya. Sige, dugtong. Ito, wait lang. John, kan po ba yung nagsalita?
As po, Aquino po.
Aquino. Okay, sige. Okay.
From lungs po, papasok po yung oxygenated blood to left atrium. Then magpapump po siya down to left ventricle. Then magpapump po siya sa aorta, palabas po, papunta sa iba't ibang parts ng katawan. Then after po doon, di ba, malinis na yung blood, papunta na sa ibang organs. Yung matitira po noon, babalik po. Kumbaga parang yung dumi po, yung matitirang dumi, babalik dun sa right atrium. Tama ba? Ipapump uli, kasi oxygenate uli, papunta sa lungs, ganun.
Okay. So, Oo. So, yung sinasabi siguro ni Aquino na dumi is kasi nga mataas na yung CO2 content, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, ayan.
Ma'am, yun po ba yung sa vena cava po, yung sa veins po, Angel po?
Okay. Yes po, si vena cava ay, if aorta is the largest artery in the body, vena cava is the largest vein. Okay. So, ayun po. Tama naman, yung sinasabi po ni Angel at the same time ni Aquino, John. So, nagsimula nga po ito with left atrium that receives the oxygenated blood, again, coming from the lungs. Then it flows down daw po to left ventricle, which will pump the oxygenated blood going to different parts, different cells and tissues of your body via aorta. Since the aorta po is the largest artery, diba, which will transport or convey the oxygenated blood to all parts of your body. Then in the body, ano nang mangyayari? Si body, para siyang lungs kanina. Diba sa lungs, kanina sa pulmonary ay deoxygenated kasi only oxygenated blood. Sa body nan, yung iba't ibang parte ng katawan natin ay tumanggap ng oxygenated blood Kaya lang, syempre yung oxygen po will be utilized for any metabolic activities of our body. Like for instance, gagamitin mo siya for cellular respiration. Diba? Alam po ba natin yung cellular respiration? Kung naalala niyo po, ito yung conversion ng sugar, ng glucose into ATP na gagamitin ng every cell of our body. Diba? So, yung conversion na yun ay hindi mangyayari o hindi posible without the presence of oxygen. So, oxygen enters every cell of your body for that. So, katumbas nun, syempre, ginamit yung oxygen, decline, bababa yung oxygen content, tataas naman yung waste material, waste product ng ano natin, body natin, which is carbon dioxide. Kaya po, ang nangyari, from oxygenated, it will become now deoxygenated blood. Diba? Baliktad na. Deoxygenated blood which will return to the heart. Specifically, ang tatanggap is the right atrium via vena cava. Remember, vena cava is the largest vein in the body. Meron tayong inferior, superior vena cava yan. Yung superior vena cava po, ito yung vena cava connected sa upper portion of your body, the head and neck region. So any deoxygenated blood consumed, utilized by the upper part of your body will return to the right atrium via superior vena cava. Tapos po, any deoxygenated blood utilized or consumed by the lower portion of your body, like from your lower extremities, from your kidneys, lahat mo yan, babalik naman sa right atrium via the inferior vena cava. So right atrium, again, will receive the deoxygenated blood from all parts of your body except the lungs. And then, the cycle will just continue. Nagets po ba? Diba? Ganun lang naman yun. Okay? So, again, Ibn al-Nafi's contribution, why he was considered as the father of circulatory physiology, is because he explained to us, he detailed one of the functions of our body, which is the circulation of the blood, how blood is being transported all throughout our body. And specifically, yung pulmonary circulation na tinatawag or the pulmonary transit, in which the blood enters not only the chambers of the heart, passes through the different blood vessels, and also passing through the lungs para maging oxygenated siya or oxygenated blood. Okay? Okay, tapos ito, these are just other important technological invention of the Arab scientists, from brass astrolabe to mercury chloride, mental institute, ayan, etc. Okay? So, basahin niyo na lang yan. Okay? Now ito, what is the reason for the decline of the Islamic Golden Age? So, sinabi ko kanina na itong presentation na to, ang focus po nito, at ang sequencing po nito is, sinimulan ko nga with what is this Golden Age of Islam, and who are these Arab scientists and scholars and their major contributions in different fields of sciences. And then let's end this presentation by discussing what could be the reason for the decline of the Islamic Golden Age. Kayo na. What could be the reason? Anyone from the class? Actually, nandiyan naman eh.
Yung na po ni Genghis Khan po.
Pasensya na, hindi ko po masyado naintindihan.
Bali ma'am, nag-decline na po yung Islamic Golden Age kasi po, yung isa po sa important infrastructure po na napagawa nila, yung House of Wisdom po ay sinira na po ng mga Mongols na kabilang po dun sa pag-establish ni Genghis Khan ng kanyang powerful dynasty around Asia po, noong 1200s po.
Very good. So actually, yun po talaga yung nakita nilang isang major reason for the fall of the Islamic Golden Age, Actually, yung by the early 15th century, Muslim civilizations had experienced many attacks from both the Crusaders campaigns in Spain, Turkey, Palestine, and syempre yung pinaka-famous nga po is yung attack or invasion of the Mongols, led by Genghis Khan. So ito yung nakita nilang pinaka-reason among many attacks na na-experience ng mga Muslim. So kasi nga ito yung panahon na nasira na yung House of Wisdom, na yung in-explain nga po kanina na naging sentro, di ba, ng center of learning during at that time. So nung nasira yon, yung mga sinunog, di ba? Tapos yung iba, yung lahat ng mga manuscripts, lahat ng mga naging works of the Arab scholars and scientists, di ba sabi ko kanina, nandoon po lahat sa doon po sa House of Wisdom, that famous center of learning and library ng mga Muslim. So that really, the destruction of the House of Wisdom was seen as the end of the Islamic Golden Age. Okay, when Baghdad was invaded by Genghis Khan. Okay, so anyway, again, yun po yung due to the conquest of the Mongolians and the Crusaders, libraries, observatories, and other learning institutions were also